Hi, this is Lisa Cole again. This is the third video in a series of three videos where I'm effectively answering the most common questions about brand gravity. Why I thought it was important to write the book Brand Gravity, why I think marketers should read and implement the strategies and tactics outlined in the seven-step process of brand gravity, and what I've witnessed for companies that have implemented the gravity process and made the investments suggested in the book. I've had the luxury of leading three marketing transformations, and each one included both fundamentally transforming the way marketing got done day to day, running marketing like a business, but it also included repositioning the brand to rebuild trust in the market, to change the perception of that brand from one thing to an entirely different thing. And each one of those transformations taught me the same thing. The biggest wins, the fastest path to sustainable growth comes from investing in content, community, and credibility. And in each one of those organizations, we were intentional about amplifying the voices of our customers and partners and industry influencers that had experience in solving the same problems and challenges that your target audience is wrestling with. We empowered our experts to show up where the buyers were already talking and engage in a natural way, not in a forced sales approach. We made it super easy for our buyers to find us, to validate their research, and trust us without ever having to fill out a form. And what happened in all three of those situations? Well, the company was able to return to growth, to drive sustainable growth. But in a few of the cases, two of the cases, the valuation of those companies dramatically increased. And a lot of it had to do with how all of their stakeholders perceive the company, right? Whether that would be investors, whether that would be media outlets, the general community that those companies served, their customers, their employees. And marketing wasn't in those transformations. Marketing's role in the business wasn't an order-taking sales support function anymore. These were the orchestrators, if you will, of building real brand gravity to attract their audiences to the organization in a natural way, in a way that lent itself to building trust and keeping that buyer's attention until they were ready to make a decision to move forward on their timeline and in the way that they thought was best for their organization. And so, I think brand gravity works because it's fundamentally built on how companies and the people within those companies buy today. I just think about you as a consumer. Whenever you need to make a purchase, you're going online, you're doing your research, you're asking people that are like you in your social media networks how they've solved for similar problems. You're jumping into communities and asking how those of your peers in your communities have solved similar problems. You're choosing the brands that are easy to find but hard to forget. You're choosing the brands that wanted to help you, provided you with all the answers that you needed to, all the smart and helpful content, all the tools that you needed to make a really well-informed decision, regardless of whether you bought their stuff. And you're picking the brands, or you're going back to the brands that continue to show you the love after you've made a purchasing decision. So if you want to commit to building brand gravity, here's what you can expect. Buyers will reach out to you in such a way where they're already pre-sold. They've made their decision. They know that you are a reliable provider of the solution, that you have experience solving problems like the ones that they have, just like people like they are and companies like theirs. Your sales cycles will shorten. You will win a greater percentage of your deals because they already trust you. They've already been with you for some time. You just didn't know it. And at the end of the day, earns a seat at the table, or at least keeps its seat at the table, because you're viewed as this growth enabler, not an activity-based order-taking function that does a lot of things. So if you're ready to stop chasing leads, if you're ready to get off of that soul-sucking roller coaster ride of, quantity, like generating as many leads as possible at the lowest cost possible, only to see less than 3% of them ever result in a sale, and you want to start doing things in a way that starts pulling buyers towards you naturally, gets you there first, and candidly increases your chances of winning, then brain gravity is the blueprint that you need. So it's our time now. It's time to be the leaders here. If we know that the buying journey has changed, then it's time to help companies change the way that we market and sell. So, Brain Gravity is available on Amazon and everywhere else, actually, from an online retail perspective, where you can find books. And of course, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And thanks again for the time.